restart because I plugged in the wireless mouse? Are you shitting me?
My Aussie Netflix catalogue. I'm mostly talking about TV shows and miniseries, and mostly ones that aren't popular, but a couple movies could end up on here. I don't know, I haven't finished writing the script yet. Damn it, I should have deleted that. And sorry if this video comes out late. I uploaded another video last night, or this morning at 1:30 AM, but Netflix blocked it immediately because it was a review on a show I won't be bothered naming unless they remove the claim. But either way, instead, now I'm doing this. Oh right, here is your viewing window.
This window was such a simple idea in theory, but it was so hard to do. And it's not worth it. I'm sorry. So I'm just gonna... bloop, 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 bloop.
Hopefully that's small enough too that Netflix's automatic copyright system doesn't detect the shit out of it and block this entire video that I also spend a copious amount of time editing. Okay, we are going to talk about 5 binge-worthy... this marker's fucking... Ooh, it got in the bin. We're going to talk about 5 binge-worthy shows, 3 mildly bingeable shows, aka the toe dippers, and we'll do 2 easy viewing shows that are still rewarding, but we'll just call them lifeboats because they're easy to watch with their little self-contained episodes. But at times they do be comforting if you're feeling depressed or whatever, you know? And now we're going to reverse that order because I just wanted to say it in the other way around because that's generally my watch preference. I like deep binge watching shows, and then after that I'll go to mildly bingeable shows, and if there are no mildly bingeable shows, then I go to easy viewing. Something I also want to point out is that I'm not a fan of sitcoms, which is why I'm getting them out the way first. Generally because most of them have laugh tracks. I don't like shows that say, this is when you laugh. Number 1. Hard sell. Okay, to start, this doesn't have a laugh track. It's similar to Orange is the New Black, but with a lot less promiscuous lesbian action, and a lot more Catherine Tate just doing her thing, trying to attempt to be the several lighter clones in Orphan Black. I bloody love this woman. Yeah, it's because of Doctor Who, but my bias towards that show has nothing to do with my admiration for her charming personality and wacky doodle brain. Besides that, the show is... Besides that, the show is quite charming and heartwarming in more ways than you'd expect. Characters don't feel two-dimensional. I also really like that the main goal of like the whole season is just to get this musical up and running. It's just so pure and everyone rejects it at first, but over time everyone starts to warm up and they start to really love the idea of it. It's just so unexpectedly innocent for a prison comedy docu-series. Maybe it is predictable, but I just haven't seen it before. And I liked it. It was cool. It's not because of Doctor Who. Wow. That was the most difficult thing I've ever written, somehow. Inside Job doesn't have a laugh track. Like Rick and Morty, but with a dysfunctional family dynamic. Like Rick and Morty, but Rick and Morty are one woman who oversees the sanction and anonymous protection of conspiracy theories. They're all real. And a Rick clone is there too, who is the Morty-Rick fusion's dad. I haven't seen it in a while, but the intro theme is fucking sick. Alright, time to dip our toes into the toe dippers. I shouldn't double up on the same expression in the same sentence. Toe dippers. I did it 3 times. The toe dippers are shows that are decent to large in length, but the episodes are done in a way that it's easy to leave it for a couple days or a few weeks and come back to it and not be like completely lost as to where you're at. On to the... Number 3. I've rewatched it a few times now, and I have nothing bad to say about it. All of its flaws and quirks feel very intentional on the writer's part, and by the end of the whole show, it feels really well earned when they take it seriously or when they choose to. But each of the episodes are really well contained within their 20-minute time frame. It's one of those rare shows like The Office where after having only watched it all once, you can go back to any episode and very quickly know where you're up to just by watching the episode. And that's because it's not overburdened by too many overarching narrative goals. In Kimmy Schmidt, there are a couple, but the point of the show is that Kimmy Schmidt is actively trying to avoid those plot points, and that further drives along the show. She wants to fit better in society, but her being a mole woman keeps chasing her around everywhere she goes. It just works really well, especially considering it's a comedy. Oh, and Titus Andromeda is a fucking god, and we should all just bow down to him right now. Number 4, Community. Can tell how much that's already skewing towards that way. I apologize for that. This ragtagging group of discriminatory angels go through some wacky times, and often led by Abed and Troy's crazy imaginations. It's not like anything, really, that I've seen before, besides following the traditional comedy sitcom vibes and themes. But for the most part, it tries to stay out of the box relatively often. Some elements haven't aged well, especially for the case of Pierce Hawthorne, or the actor that plays him, and I'm not sure how that turned out, but yeah, either way, Pierce might make your family members cringe if they can hear him gabbering away while they're walking past your bedroom or wherever the fuck you're watching this. Being one of the only community college-based shows to air for as long as it did, they inevitably had to come up with many unique situations that you wouldn't typically see, and the situations they come up with are most times incredibly funny, and also, it can be incredibly heartwarming at times. Just watch out for that sweet fucking jingle thing that the xylophones start playing. That's when you know the tears are coming. And make the movie, damn it. Number 5, The Good Place. Oh my fucking god. It's unprocreations, baby. You deal with it. This show is on the edge of the toe dipper section, because although it can be treated as casual viewing, it is definitely very rewarding if you pay attention to the details that are generally sprinkled rather discreetly throughout the show. And also, if you're not paying attention to this beautiful man's speech at the end of the fucking show, how dare you? It's fun, highly intelligent, pleasant on the eyes, I might say. And also goes through heaps of genuine philosophical dilemmas and explores them in entertaining ways. It was very popular when it first came out, so this is more for people who haven't seen it. I just wanted to bring attention to this beautiful show again and say, go watch it. Go, now. Learn the meaning of life and do not eat Cheety's chili. And now, for my favorite type of content. The deep binge-worthy shows. These are the kind of shows where if you look away for 1 second at the wrong time, you might miss the key detail to the entire fucking show. This is the kind of show where you cocoon yourself in your blanket just after having cocooned your tortilla with burrito filling. And now you will enjoy that burrito over a 6-hour period while cranking out 2 seasons worth of entertainment. Well, you enjoy the burrito for the first hour, but you know where I'm coming from. You've been there. Talk about imperfect, am I right? Yeah, so this one on my list is probably going to be the most relevant to majority of us, because I'm uploading this in 2022, and I can say right now that 90% of my list will be pretty old shows. But yes, this one is a recent addition to Netflix, which has kept its rankings in the top 10 in Australia for a couple weeks now, I think. I haven't finished it, but let me tell you, if you're like me and you like Marvel, but you're really goddamn disappointed with how the whole superhero genre is being treated at the moment, then this is going to be a treat for you. The origin story is unique. The heroes are trying to cure what makes them heroes the entire time, immediately adding much more depth than literally every Marvel show right now. The characters are somewhat dislikable at first, so you grow with them. Notes, Marvel. The writers hold their cards to their chests and don't reveal it all in the trailer. I keep thinking I know how their powers work, and then they surprise me at just the right moments. And yes, in hindsight, some of it is a little predictable if you put thought into it, but I've just been on this fucking low bar with superhero shit for a while now. I was just really surprised. It was a breath of fresh air, okay? I needed this. Love it and can't wait to get back to finishing it after finishing this video. Number 7. The OA. Incredibly underrated show. One that I've never been able to talk to anyone about before because no one I know has seen it. Which sucks because this is a very profound show for me and life-defining one in some ways. I haven't watched it in a while, but I remember that the first time I did end up watching it, I ended up watching it a couple more times essentially straight away afterwards just to fully wrap my head around all the concepts, the big concepts that the writers were giving us. And look, I'm a pro binger, man. I didn't do no research for this video. This is legit shit that I've just seen. This is why it's my Aussie Netflix catalogue. And the main reason I can't get other people to watch it is because it starts off with incredibly slow pacing. But the way it inevitably engages you reminds me of, I don't know, like a pro fisherman trying to lure his catch. You slowly gather the pieces of the mystery of what's happened to this blind girl who's been missing for 7 years, I think it's 7, and when she came back, she had her sight again. Once you realize the stakes of the situation, and you get past the several layers of what you think the story is, and you finally realize what the writers are going to be giving you, it's honestly a goddamn masterpiece. I won't say more, but I will show you 2 seconds of the last episode of season 1. And I want you to know that this scene made me bawl my eyes out. Not just tearing up like I would normally do for an emotional scene in a movie or a TV show. I was fucking dry heaving and crying. This gave me profound feelings that I still can't directly explain, and just thinking of it makes me want to go back and watch it again. And here is the scene that I'm talking about. I will be taking no questions. I just realized that I put Sense8 on the 8th one. I didn't even mean to do that. This is a great show to follow up after watching the OA, if you can handle binge watching to that magnitude. It's another slow burner, and the episodes are fucking chonkers. Like an hour minimum for each episode, and 2.5 hours maximum. It was made by the Wachowski, the Mike Wazowski sisters, who worked on the original Matrix movie. It has great action, great cinematography, and great sound curation. The highlight of the show is sort of, I don't really know how to word it, but it takes character development to a whole nother level, essentially. You'll get to know these characters very personally, and I mean very personally. The premise of the psychic bond between the 8 main characters lends itself towards this deep intuition and deep extroversion and just beautiful soul bonding connection stuff. But if you immerse yourself in the show, things like the orgy scenes will seem a whole lot less like orgy scenes, because with the proper context, and if you're watching the show properly, then it's intended to come off as beautiful, right? It's supposed to be much more symbolic and metaphoric. Get your brain out of the gutter. There's way too much good stuff to talk about in this show, and so much that you just have to see. It's worth watching, just maybe not with family. Speaking of shows to not watch with family, I couldn't even fucking fit that one on. Off the bat, I want to say that this is the best horror show ever written. I was meant to say in my opinion, but goddammit, I'm just so compelled to say that this is objectively the best horror show ever written. It's a strong commitment to watch in its entirety, especially if you don't like scary movies, because if you're like me and you've seen way too many scary movies and you're entirely desensitized to that initial scare factor that majority of Hollywood productions put all of their budget towards, then you'll be like me and you'll think that majority of the horror industry is actually really shit and way overhyped. So many movies, so many two-dimensional characters, so many fucking... It's just I don't know what to compare them to. But it's like they're show rides, you know? You're just there for the thrill factor. If you get over that, then it's just fucking useless to you. But yes, if jump scares do make it hard for you to watch horror, then this show will genuinely traumatize you. I call it true horror because it's not only terrifying to watch knowing that there's like 20 ghosts in every episode just sprinkled in the backgrounds for you to see unexpectedly. It's not only terrifying because of its impeccable sound design and careful choice of jump scares, which by the way, I don't even think, there's like two jump scares or like 5 in the whole thing, and it's pretty long. It's not only terrifying because of the amazingly well done CGI and the cinematography, it's terrifying because of the 2 real parts of life that you are forced to watch and you have to deal with alongside the characters. Devastating and senseless loss. Enough family problems to keep you up at night without the use of cheap scares or merchandisable monsters. Just brutal truths about human shortcomings and our relationship with death. They're enough to get anyone scared. On top of that, it also has all the basic things that your normal Hollywood horror movie will do, just done so much better. Haunting of Bly Manor, though, it was alright. And finally, my last addition to the list. And sorry, no movies did end up here at the end. If the main part of what you enjoy about movies and TV shows is the visuals, then you will very much like this show. I mainly look for believable writing in shows and can pretty easily discount acting and that just to try to engage myself in the story. I treat movies like books. It's weird. But for this show, I would say suspend your disbelief and just enjoy all of the eye candy that the directors have in store for you. At first I found that the Sandman's whimsical mannerisms were a little tedious, but the further on I watched it, the less I tried to scrutinize it, and the more I enjoyed it. The writing is relatively simple, but the music and cinematography stand on incredibly strong legs. In truth, I mostly just enjoyed watching it while I toiled away doing other things because... my problem is not practicing the script. In truth, I mostly enjoyed watching it while toiling away doing other things because I like my fantasy, but as you can maybe tell, I prefer details in what I watch, rather than floating off into ethereal realms like in The Lord of the Rings. Not to say The Lord of the Rings isn't detailed. Maybe it's the other way around. It's too much information, too much detail, and my brain doesn't want to commit to that level of detail. I have a little Goldilocks zone, you know. Anyways, that's it. That's my catalogue for Netflix. If you like this kind of content, it was really easy for me to write, so let me know if you would like a binge version of this or any other streaming service. I don't know why Binge was the first one I mentioned. I don't have Binge. Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, all of them. I'll just get the trial, you know? You make the request, I'll make a new email, I'll get the trial, 7 days, I'll fucking just binge the shit out of everything. I'll give you a nice video. Yeah? Deal? Alright, bye!